All right, now we'll bring the meeting to order. And we'll start with the unwritten road report.
Talked to Rodney this morning. Things are going reasonably well. One concern or one thing you want to bring up was he'd like to get something done to the road, to the town garage. Pave it or upgrade it or something, because he said they had an awful time this spring, with lugging mud into the town garage, and
Mhm.
of course the spring lasted so long.
Right.
And he said they were constantly shoveling and there was dust, in the air.
Fine dust.
So he said he wanted, if we got any extra cash kicking around, he'd like to deal with that.
Did we ever,
We had a
Here.
quote.
yeah, but did we ever hear from Sarah or whoever if we could get ARPA funds to do
They
that?
thought we could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think if we could get ARPA funds, we ought to, and do it right too. I mean, put down some bits and
Right,
change culverts and whatever. if we
Right.
have to.
yes,
And I personally think that that's not gonna cure the problems of a clean floor in the town garage, because they're gonna lug mud in from some other road. But years ago, Chris Monk told me that it doesn't take any, when you factor everything in, it doesn't cost any more to have a paved road than it does to maintain a gravel road.
Right.
And so,
in the long run.
yeah, so
right,
in the end, it isn't gonna cost us any
Right.
more, so I'm
Right.
for it.
Right. And he's gonna try to put some smaller nozzles on the chloride spreader.
Yeah.
And cut back, hopefully, on the amount of chloride that he uses, because he said when he used to use flake chloride, he didn't use as much, he didn't think as he does now
Right.
with a liquid. So he got to thinking about it, so he's gonna try putting on smaller nozzles and see if that
Yep.
keeps the dust down, plus saves a little.
Right. Good idea.
He said Shane Young was around there. I didn't quite get this, but they've cut some logs out of town forest or something.
Right.
And anyways, Shane was gonna get some sod up, or he had got some sod up, and had some extra. And Rodney said, well, the state told him that he should re-side the Flint Bridge.
Oh, yeah,
And so he said, we ought to grab that lumber if it's usable and use it on the bridge.
yeah, I guess once I understand the whole story,
Well, I don't quite understand it.
because the town forest committee we're gonna build that pavilion building.
Right,
And so we had a bunch of logs, I don't know how many, do you remember how many thousand feet, Dave?
No, there's some hemlock and spruce in there, and I know Shane's looking at it
Yeah.
to see what he needs, and
Right.
some other people have too, but I don't know.
So there's a pile of logs. there,
but
I
he
mean,
seemed to think that he was gonna have more. There was gonna be more than what he needed.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great idea. If we have too much, I think we would probably definitely, since it's town lumber, donate it to the cause.
Yeah,
Right,
and we're gonna do posts and beams and I think some roof,
right.
boards for under a metal roof, stuff like that, so. I don't know.
So anyway, the plan is to get Shane or someone to saw it out this summer,
Mhm.
so we can. But
Yeah,
that'd be
so
fun.
if he's got extra, then if Rodney knows what he needs.
Is Rodney gonna hang off a rope or something on the side of the bridge?
You know, he said something about the town clerk
Okay.
doing it.
yeah, I'll do it.
Well, you'll have your baby by
Yeah.
June first.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be light as a feather then.
Yeah, by June 10th.
Anyway,
And he saw little Larry Pickett
Yep.
last week, I think, and talked to him about sand. And we talked about sand for a while, and in the paper it said Braintree was having Tucker crush them some sand.
Huh.
And so I told Rodney I'd look into that, see what was going on. But afterwards I found out that Tucker's taking his crusher down the
Right.
Braintree's pit and crushing the stone.
Right, makes sense.
And that makes more, because I couldn't imagine why that they would be crushing sand, I mean, making sand up there. But anyways, he wanted to look into maybe getting some granite sand fines.
Mhm.
Or something like that to mix in with what we get off in tickets.
Yeah.
So he's gonna investigate that further. But I think he wants to get going on it.
Well, we looked into that before, and it's gonna be expensive,
Well, everything's gonna be expensive this year,
right?
and maybe we should just end up just getting it off in a little area and calling it close
Yeah.
enough, but
And I'm okay with, if we got some, say, 200 yards or something of granite, whatever they call it, and just try it.
Try it,
Just so we know.
yeah. Yeah, if you get, 5, 6 trailer truck loads or something and
Right,
mix it in or whatever.
be a good experiment. Because I think it was Rodney or you telling me about the quality of the sand used in the wintertime made the roads this time of year kind of slimy on top.
Well, good example of that is Randolph got their sand out of Bethel last year.
Yeah.
And it must be full of clay because they graded Dugout Road and they graded Uncle Mickey's Road
Yeah.
the same day or within a couple days. And then we got a rain and I pretty near lost it going down Dugout in the morning. And David Race stopped down the shop and he said, "You have any problem getting down the hill this morning?" And he said, "I pretty near lost it." That stuff was just like grease.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But that's what you get when you get big sand out of a bank and there's clay in
Right.
there. And if you could get crushed stuff or
Right. But that really nice stuff that people use on their driveways, like Josh mentioned, sanded Lori's driveway last winter, that stuff that comes from Lebanon,
Mhm.
that stuff, boy, when the snow's all gone, it leaves,
Yes,
it leaves it
You got-
nice,
you got something there.
right?
Yeah.
It's just grit,
It's not all slimy.
right? So I think the better quality we can use, the better it's gonna be in the summertime.
And that's what Rodney's saying, if you end up with 2-3 inches of sand on your road,
Right.
then you have to grade it in and,
Yeah, go backwards every spring.
and then you get, if you get poor sand, then you get a poor road.
Yep.
And that's about it, I guess.
So but the machinery's running fine,
Yep.
and Larry's back from his COVID break,
Yeah,
and no one else has COVID.
no,
Rodney's trying to avoid it, that's why he's not
Yeah.
here.
yeah. And he was wearing his mask this morning when I saw him.
Yeah. Good, glad they're safe. That's the road report.
That is the road
All
report.
right. Let's see, we'll move on to 6:20.
Dave
Look at that.
Kimball.
Yeah, Dave, you can step forward or you can speak from right there.
I'm just going to sign up for the advisory board for South Road Rescue again,
Okay,
if appointed.
is Brenda's, does her term stagger with yours, or,
It's staggered.
Yeah.
I think she's next year.
and she's still good to go
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Yeah, good,
She's right into it, and Bob Sponable's in his first year
yeah,
with us, so doing well. Organization's doing well.
Yeah.
Staffing's good, new administrator has been great,
excellent.
so. Yeah,
How
gotta do it, because it's easy.
how is the number of calls, is that consistent, or is it growing, or,
It's about the same, about 425.
Yeah.
A year. So pretty consistent.
Yeah.
All of us, all the organizations in the services are having staffing issues, so
Right.
there's more mutual aid. we're doing things for Werver, we're doing things for First Branch and vice versa, but they're all covered,
Yeah,
so. Going well,
good.
starting to get more serious about a new building.
Mhm.
So we'll be hearing about that, but,
Is that potentially gonna be on the Crawford lot then?
well, that's the plan,
Yeah.
that's the hope,
Good,
yeah, but we've got a lot of work to do.
yeah,
Financing, and maybe some ARPA funding, and
Yeah.
grants, and we're working with, talking with Senator Sanders' office, Senator Leahy's office about grants and funding from them. So there's a lot of the works, it's probably 2 years out, maybe.
Yeah.
But, we need to do it.
yeah. We needed to 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, would you make a motion?
I make a motion that we appoint Dave Kimball to the South Royalton Rescue Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All right, all in favor of said motion, say aye.
All right,
Aye,
Aye.
you're on.
good.
Okay, great.
That was hard.
9-year-old granddaughter on her birthday.
Was that for 3 years, 2 years?
3 years,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, 3 years.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Dave.
you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Who's the third member?
Dave, Bob Sonnable,
Bob Sonnable.
Oh, good.
concerned on village speeding sidewalk upgrade, Janet Wells. That looks like you.
So, we had a planning commission meeting and Michael Saka and Jenna Lepachinsky put together a kind of like the future of Tunbridge and just some ideas about things. And there was some people, public comment, and somebody commented about the speed limit in town, or the amount of speeding that there is in town. And so it was suggested that I call Rita Cito at Two Rivers
Mhm.
about that. And so I called her and asked, like, how do we go about changing this? And she said, well, that has to come from the select board. So she said, she contacted Mariah.
Mhm.
And I don't know where it goes any further than that. But then the other thing that came up was having some sidewalks in town, and also suggested like crosswalks. For, I just think that the speed limit and the sidewalk kind of go together.
Mhm.
Because, there's no real parking here, so everyone parks
Right.
on the street whenever there's something happening at the town hall, the church, the library, people parking to go to the post office. And then people coming up from the fairgrounds to go to the Tunbridge store when it opens. Hopefully not too long in the distant future, but just thinking about safety.
We'd
And-
have to talk to the state and find out
Somehow.
So
sidewalk.
I talked to Rita, she reached out to me after Janet reached out to her. And she said that the reevaluation of the speeding, the select board needs to send a letter addressed to V-Trans engineer. So she gave me a draft of that, and I've already drafted a letter. Just stating that, formally requesting them come out and do like a scoping project of having them, determine if we could drop it to 25, because it's like a, village center. So that would just need to be something that was, motioned by you guys, and then I could send the letter. And then as far as the sidewalks go, there's a lot of grant opportunities available, but again, we would need to have a scoping project done. There is a grant for that, because that's like a $40,000 project just to have them come do like a scoping project. But they would come and tell you where you should put sidewalks, where you should put crosswalks, where you should have all that different type of stuff. And the grant for that would just be a 20% local match. So whatever 20% of 40,000 is.
Yeah.
Is what we would pay to have that project completed, to have somebody come out.
That's just to study it.
Correct. And then they would give you like, all the information on cost, and then there's other grants that would be available to put the sidewalks in, but as a village resident, I fully support both of these
Yes.
things. especially having young kids, like people
Luckily,
fly through here.
luckily you can't vote on this.
Thanks.
Well, we did try a number of years ago to get a crosswalk up between the library and the town
Mhm.
post office. And there was some lengthy process we had to go through for that. And I know every property owner up through owns their land, and so it'd be a whole bunch of different landowners you have to deal with. It's not the town.
Yeah,
We can't just wave our magic wand and
yeah,
say it.
yeah.
Is it not, doesn't the state road go back a certain number
Yeah,
of
they must
feet
have it
from?
right away.
It's a 4-rod road, but still, what we looked into it before, and I could be wrong, but
Oh, okay.
every landowner could say, I want a sidewalk or I don't want a sidewalk.
Which is probably why at our barn, we don't have a sidewalk
Right.
across that whole yard.
Right,
Right, and because there was, Michael had talked about, there was an organization called the Tunbridge Village Improvement
Right.
Society. And, yeah, I guess the sidewalks came up during those years, and so some people elected to have them and other people
Right.
said no. And so that's why there's kind of a patchwork of
Oh,
I'd be curious though to see if like in other towns, South Royalton, all of that, your sidewalks are on the shoulder of the road. Like
Right.
why? What, would that not be possible? I don't
Yeah.
know.
but I think, I'm not against it. I think we ought to look into it,
Okay.
definitely.
And so the other thing that was brought up about sidewalks would, it would be really nice to have a sidewalk that went to the recreation field.
Yeah.
Which is kind of problematic
Yes.
because of the curve in the road, but there is Mill Road and then you could get onto the bridge and do a crosswalk. It would be a little bit of a
Right,
circuitous kind of route, but I think it would, I think there's a way to do it. But of course, they know best, so it would come down to
Right.
the study. But, so I didn't know if there was anything else that I could do to kind of move things forward or.
sounds like the administrative assistant is right on top of it.
Yes, sounds like, so I didn't know about the grant writing, so do you guys
I
write
would-
the grant?
I would do the grant.
You would do the
Yeah,
grant?
yeah.
Okay, great.
so I think we got it started.
I do. I just would need, if you wanted me to send in the letter to get somebody to come out here and reconsider to 25, I'd need you to motion on that. And then same with, if you want me to get the scoping project, the deadline for that's June 8th for the grant.
Okay,
Which obviously then we'd have to get the grant and then we'd have to accept the grant, so
what's 20% of 40,000?
8,000.
8,000.
We probably could, well, that's a lot of money, but we probably could start it up somewhere.
And would that potentially cover, like the sidewalk up to the rec field or a trail anywhere?
Well, if we had somebody studying it, we could tell them
Right.
what we wanted studied.
Right, for 40,000, we might as well take all we can get.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
no, exactly. The
Well,
other
that's
thing,
what-
Mariah, I'd be interested in is if the town's insurance covers liability, because I know, a huge amount of slip and falls to maintain them, and then they're icy, and then people fall, and then they sue the town. So I know my brother spent his first years out of law school working for an insurance company that tried to settle out all those slip and falls with municipalities.
Okay, I'll look into that.
And it has nothing to do with that, but I like the signs that tell you how fast you're going.
Oh, yes, that was the other thing.
Like
that was
Randolph
on my-
used to have one just as you enter, and there's other towns, but they flash when you're going 40, when you should be going 25 or something.
Yeah.
and-
Woodstock has one, Bethel has one,
Yeah.
South
If
Royalton
you
has
go
one.
really fast. they
Barnard has
flash
one.
blue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but just, it keeps the honest people slowed down anyway.
Well, it's, I was talking to somebody about it and I said, well, everybody's like got their minds on where they're going and what
Right.
they're doing and stuff, and people get a little distracted. And so with that little flashing thing, it just kind of makes you go, oh, wait a second,
Right,
I'm in the middle of the village, and it's really only, but is it a 1/10 of a mile?
right, yeah.
They,
right. And I'd like if we could get one, a semi-portable one, something you can hang on a telephone pole or something. Because Judy Tucker's complained down here that people are going like 60 when they go
Oh,
past
yeah.
her house. And I totally get that because you're downhill and you're headed out of town.
Yeah,
But if you could have it flashing down there that it's still 35 miles an hour, it might help.
yeah,
But up on my corner, the same thing, people fly around and then they get a good run down through town.
Yeah, then they come down the straightaway.
Right,
The other thing is, I don't know if you've noticed it, Mariah, too, is sometimes in the morning, there are some big tractor trailers that are going up, probably servicing stores in Chelsea and stuff, or businesses, further north on 110. But I just am curious, are they really going 35? Because it seems like people are going a lot faster. And I know that a couple of years ago, Orange County put the
Yeah.
little thing up there, and they were supposed to, I talked to them and they said they were sending a report of what they found, how fast people were going, how many people were over the speed limit and all that kind of stuff. But I could never get an answer.
yeah, I'm not sure, that would be before me, so
Yeah,
if there
it
was one,
before you-
it's,
Yeah,
I don't
Missing.
remember, yeah.
I watch people like more often than you
Yeah.
would think pass each other in the village.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, and last year, maybe the year before, somebody wasn't paying attention, going wicked fast, crossed the center line and smashed into Shirley Bowles's car that was
Right,
parked right
I
by
remember
my
that.
house.
Yeah,
And like, if her car wasn't there, would have come through my yard and like hit me, so.
Right.
25.
yeah. So I kind of wrote up a little petition thing because I thought town meeting's coming up and I would try and see, I mean, it sounds like you folks are all on board with this idea, but I didn't know if it was necessary to like get more community input about, this reducing the speed.
I don't think it's necessary, but if you want to do it.
Okay, well, if it's not necessary, we don't need to rile people up.
Are you okay with that, John? Just with us proceeding on that plan?
Yeah, and we could probably bring it up during other business at town meeting too, if we wanted to just get, a feel for the other residents of Tunbridge. I was thinking also, remember when Jackie did a couple of the surveys for, what was it, the Spring Road and maybe Drew Road or Hoyt Hill?
Yeah,
We had to go through that process first, but with 110 being a state road, I don't know if it's a different procedure for lowering, does it sort of not become a state road through the village?
No, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's still a state road,
Yeah, I
but,
think so.
but,
Different regulations.
well, it's a state road in the Randolph Village and, they have a speed limit there. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you could call us a village or a town center or something.
Right. I think there must be different rules for village
Um,
centers.
East Randolph got dropped, 10 years ago or something, from what, 45 to
Yeah.
55, 35 or
Yeah.
50 to 40 or something. And because they were having the same problem.
right. But I think it probably has to start with us requesting,
Yes.
otherwise they won't do
Yep.
anything.
Yeah,
And can we request Orange County to put
Well, that was what I was gonna suggest. We could call the sheriff up and have them sit here, several hours or something.
Right. Or bring that little buggy that she's talking about.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, with the little reminder sign,
Yeah.
but even if they sat here in the morning, I feel like it's early, when people are going out of town to work and stuff, and then in the evening
Mhm.
coming back too, but, an hour at each end of the day might, give more information, and definitely if they have that little rig that they set up and you can get some, feedback from the machine
Yeah.
about what's going on. 'Cause it's,
The ones that get.
I know, back in the good old days, when you had the tape across the road.
Yeah.
We had one done in Brookfield and it was really astounding how much they sped on some roads
Yeah.
that you didn't really think about. And not so much on roads that you'd think they'd speed on.
Huh.
But also, was interesting, I thought, on how many cars in the day, at
The
what
number.
times a
Right,
day,
right, yeah.
you know, from 7 to 8 or, you know, something like that when you get to most traffic. And,
This road years ago was 1,500 a day,
mhm.
Really?
and I don't know what it is now, what it got that or more.
It's pretty constant.
Yeah. And it's amazing just living downtown here, but a lot of times between 5 and 5:30, there's a steady flow of cars
Mhm.
going south.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden at 5:30, it's just like somebody's up there stopped them.
Yeah, and then it starts again
Yeah.
at like 7,
Yeah.
7:30, something like that. Yeah, I noticed that because well, because sometimes I'm up, but it's other times I hear them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then at like 2 in the afternoon, you could have a picnic in the road sometimes and
Yeah.
nobody come along.
or 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right? They wouldn't be out having a picnic at 10.
Well, I make a motion that we have the administrative assistant send a letter
Mhm.
to
V-Trans engineer.
the trans engineer to do a traffic study.
To reevaluate the speed limit.
Okay. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Nope. And will we do another motion for the sidewalk?
It's a separate agency. isn't it?
It's two separate things,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yes. You want a
Okay.
second?
I second Mike's motion.
All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
I
Right,
Aye.
do you want to make the next motion, John?
Who would be doing the scoping there, Mariah?
So we can hire a consulting firm to do it. Rita from Two Rivers said she can give me a list of people that they would suggest.
Okay,
But just that the deadline for that, obviously we have a little bit of time, but it's June 8th. So,
okay. So I move that we initiate a study for potential sidewalks in the village of Tunbridge, in consultation with Two Rivers and perhaps hiring an outside firm to do the scoping.
his motions are always better than mine.
Yeah. He's
I
been-
second that.
Long-winded.
Yes.
I know it's a lot to write.
He spent the whole day in the legislature, it's got to rub off somehow. All right, all in motion, say aye. All in favor, say aye.
I'm
Aye.
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 Aye in motion, yeah.
Aye in motion.
Do you need to do a motion to contact Orange County about?
No, we'll just have
Yeah.
Mariah
I'll
get a
just
hold
reach
of
out
him.
to
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Great. Well, that was painless.
Try to be,
So far.
Yeah.
we have to pay for it.
Right.
I know. But I think it would be a really nice improvement to the village center.
Yep.
And it's nice, the crosswalks.
Yeah,
Mhm.
seems like there was something to do with crosswalks, if they had a crosswalk, then you were a little bit more legitimate to lower the speed limit
Right.
somehow, but I don't remember how.
Well, while we're on the subject of the village, I just wondered what the feeling or sense was of the camper that's now parked in the middle of town. Like, is there a right of way rule, or could you, as long as you're under, whatever it was, 90 days, can you put a camper on your land?
You know whose it is, Mariah?
I don't know whose it is. I know that Alan Howe came in here and asked for the contact information for the people that own the creamery.
Yep.
To see if it was theirs or somebody they knew. I don't know what came about that.
Are they camping there or they just parked?
They just parked it there.
People complain because it's in the way, I mean, site-wise, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, if you're trying to pull out from the fairgrounds.
Or walk down the road
Yeah.
to Spring Road.
Yeah.
It's got a
It must be in the right of way too.
I think it's
Yeah,
locked.
it-
Oh.
So that's what I said to Deb. I'm like, let's put it on.
It's gotta be in the right of way.
It's got safety chains, I can get it little ways.
Yeah.
But Mariah, you can look into that maybe?
Yeah, so what exactly are you looking for?
Not specifically maybe just this camper, but just in general, if somebody parks a vehicle
Well, it's in the states right away,
Right,
but
just,
the state probably ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Well, just contact Alan, because if Alan got the information for, like, no, whatever his name is, I can't think of his first
And
name.
contact the sheriff when you're calling him on the speed limit stuff.
Yeah, I
Just
mean, they
say-
could run the plate and see who owned the camper.
Right. Anyway, maybe you can just call them, they might say, oh yeah, we're gonna move it next week or something, or don't know.
Okay. I can do that.
All right, anything more, Janet, or is that,
No, I think I'm good. Thank you very
All
much
right.
for your time.
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Check that. Electronic sign policy, how's that coming?
Thank you.
So I kind of put a pause on it because of what Brenda was saying about having purchased it with ARPA funds or whatever grant money she had gotten during the FEMA
Right.
money maybe. And that if we use it to not for other things besides, you know,
Right.
emergency information, that they could make us pay for all of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what you guys wanted to do, if you wanted me to go ahead and do that. I got John's email that you had sent to Brenda about, you know, who declared the state of emergency and like how long that lasts. Again, I have nothing to do with this grant. I don't know where they got it, who they bought it from, that type of thing. So I don't really have any information on any of that, but
My understanding was when the state of emergency was done, then COVID would be over, and so we could use the sign however we wanted to, but COVID isn't over.
right,
So I guess I would rather err on the side of caution and just use it for like the fire permit thing
yeah,
and things of town interest,
right,
and not advertising. anything
Yeah,
else.
I think so too, until we know, you know, we're completely in the clear
yeah,
on it.
okay,
You know, my first thought was it'd be nice to help out Chelsea or whatever, but if there's gonna be any question, I think we ought to leave it alone
Okay.
until,
I'll just put a pause on
Yeah.
making a policy for that then.
Yeah.
And then I will just let Phyllis Hayward know that.
Yeah.
We bought it with this special grant funding and we can't use it for
Yeah.
anything else.
Perfect.
I think also whether, you know, Gary, you and Mariah with the town kiosk at the library, that, I mean, potentially between the library and the town offices, at some point, if someone like Mariah or somebody at the town offices or somebody at the library sort of wanted to be in charge of publicizing, you know, local events by not-for-profits, then we could just have a sandwich board and we don't have to worry about, you know, potential running into problems with FEMA. It's just a thought that if somebody really wanted to take the point on that in town, I'm sure we could come up with a policy and kind of a neat thing. Then you could, you know, say, have an arrow one way to the Tunbridge sale during the Chelsea flea market and another arrow going, so, you know, go to Chelsea and visit the flea market, whatever it would be. Just non-political.
Yep, good idea. All right, so it's on hold,
So we're way ahead of schedule here.
and then don't speak too soon.
don't speak too soon.
Mariah can't be here until 7:15 because she is at a T-ball game or
Yeah.
Little League game. So that's
15,
half an hour from now.
well, let's skip over that then.
We'll skip over Mariah.
We're gonna run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
Let's talk about legal trails.
that would be good for an hour or two.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I didn't bring the crowd with me.
Yeah.
I expected a crowd, but nobody there. Billy Smith was there for a while, now she, oh.
John O'Brien's there.
In your packets, you have a couple different letters. One from Ellen Cosford about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, all things you've seen, but I just
Yeah.
printed them off.
Yeah, thank you.
One from John. Sharia, and then one from Matt Frost.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yeah.
Tonight, if we did go executive session, so those are there for your
Um,
perusal.
I don't know that there's any need,
Okay,
if there's any questions of legality, and I don't know if there's any need of us going in to executive session.
That's fine.
I agree.
Yeah, I think if there are questions, it's better to err on the side of transparency and not go in right now. And I think we can work through, I was proposing that if I can write up something maybe for next meeting, almost like a sample policy, and we could go through that, in open meeting law, just get close. So stay away from executive session.
Sounds good.
All right, I agree. But George was here to talk a little more about signage, because he sent an email to us all and gave us some sample pictures, or what do you want to call it?
Yeah, possible sign, what signs might look like.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, just to sum up what I said in the message, that I think it's pretty clear that some signage on the trails could really help out property owners and the trail conditions and users, and help keep Jeep convoys from going through. I heard about an off-road thing that happened about a month ago. I actually saw the vehicles around, and apparently they're looking for legal or, roads to go mudding on, and they could easily end up in some of these wet trails having a good old time. So I think some signage would be great for that. I'm willing to take on putting the signage up, taking the signage down, providing the signs, and anything else that is entailed in that. And if for some reason the selects decide, or anybody decides that the trail should come down, plus if the select board decides that the trail sign should come down or be changed, I'm happy to do that at a moment's notice as well. I would expect that for mud season, that the signage would just follow the Rodney's lead with when he posts roads and unposts the roads. And for less clear things, like any yeah, for any other things that I would just come to the select board for any guidance on what signs should be put up and when. I would bring it to you. It won't be something you need to take care of. If I see something that I think needs some attention, like a washed out trail, or a tree down, or I probably won't get too detailed about it, but anything that should cause a trail closure until that is rectified, I would come and ask for permission to do that.
Are you gonna work with the Trails Committee, or
Yes. And here's where we step out of my realm as far as legal understanding is, but basically, I will take this task on myself and raise a group of people to help put the signs up or take them down. But I would also be in communication with the Trails Committee about what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't want it to become a responsibility they need to take on, but I would, and this is only the way I envision it. If they have any significant input, then I would, take that in consideration.
just like the crossroad, for instance,
Yeah.
there's, I don't know how many trees across the actual crossroad itself.
Yeah,
And so that's, I mean, not impassable, but pretty close to it, as
Yeah.
far as you'd have to duck under or jump over.
yeah,
If you were on foot, it'd be difficult. If you had a bicycle, it'd be a little more difficult.
yeah,
And then up by my sister's house, a bunch of brush needs to be cut, and some real signage, just like arrows to point toward where the trail is and where her yard is, and keep people on track.
exactly.
And so I envision that it's more than you should have to do to take your chainsaw and cut these trees out and open the trail up, or whatever, so you might need help.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to take on those tasks as well.
Yeah.
And I think that could really help keep people from going around the trees and stuff onto Deb's property.
Right.
And also the wet areas. I think, the same thing, direct people where to go or,
Yeah,
and for stuff like that, Crossroads it's been a long time, but as I recall, it's pretty much a swamp there at the bottom where it crosses. So,
it's not too bad, but
Yeah.
it's, a bunch of it down through is just, it's a sunken road, and it's all clay. And so if it's wet at all, it's just slippy, slidey clay to walk on.
oh, yeah. Well, mostly for clearing brush and stuff like that, but also I in the future, I do have interest in checking in with the, with the state about any wet areas. I've seen many trails. I've ridden hundreds of miles and hiked hundreds of miles on trails that have very simple, small, like basically planks,
Mhm.
a way for people to walk through wet areas without destroying them or
Right.
getting their
When
feet
they,
wet.
when the Boy Scouts did a bunch of work in that wet area across from East Street in Brookfield, they used pallets.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they made bridges or walkways out of pallets through the
Yeah.
really wet spots.
Yeah, I heard of that, but I've never seen it done before, but other things like that are just, some logs laying in the road so that
Yeah.
water can continue to flow.
Right.
But with a plank or two across the top of them or stuff like that. It's very low impact. It's very easy. And stuff like that would be easy to take on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think mostly just making it clear so people don't have to guess, because it seems like there's a lot of confusion.
Yes,
And so that, yeah, that's my pitch.
yeah, and I think it's a great idea, and I envision like Vast does with the snowmobile trails, just out in the middle of the field, there's an arrow, just so you don't just go wandering off course or whatever. And the same thing for these trails, like up to Priscilla's, to just have arrows that say you have to go up to the old barn site and go underneath the high drive, and that's where the actual legal trail is, versus going out through the field and getting lost.
Right. I can imagine that causes a lot of friction.
Right.
I know that Deb is pretty upset with some of that stuff
Right.
too.
And I talked with Deb last weekend about it, and she's totally fine with that, got a little bit of brush, and putting up some good signage and,
Keep people where they're supposed to be.
right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really workable.
Great. So I'll take that as a yes. Go right ahead.
You okay with that, John? Or do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, I feel that since we don't have a policy or an ordinance yet, that, I mean, I really like the signs, George, but I'm still trying to figure out, we've just said walkers only. So are we changing this at this point? Or are we forbidding motorized vehicles? I mean, it still seems like all the stuff we need to decide. And then the signage should follow that.
Right. Right. Well, my thinking about that specifically for the trail that goes up by your place is that more information is helpful, and but also because that trail is 80% dry, I don't see why bicycles should be forbidden on the 80% that's dry. I think there should be signage. I mean, if the goal is to protect the wetlands, which is why the trail is closed, that to bikes, as I understand, then it seems like what other people have typically done in situations like this is specific signage that says, please walk your bike in wet, muddy areas. But that's, that's, I think that would be a good refinement of the trail sign that's currently there that says walk only. Because I just think that that makes more sense I'm not sure if the goal is to protect the wetlands, why a bike shouldn't be ridden on the dry portion. Would only be because somebody doesn't want bikes to be ridden there at all. And as far as I understand what the town guidelines are for what happens there is that bicycles are allowed currently. But that would be something that the selectmen would have to decide whether, that signage is okay. Before I put anything up, I will show it to you and get your approval. Now that I know that signage seems like something you're open to, I'll start putting in the effort to get more specific about it and bring that in.
I think it's a great idea, and especially since we, the select board, have said the trails are basically closed until May 31st. We ought to get on the stick and try to figure out what we're gonna do after May 31st, which means we have one more meeting to go.
Right. Well, since we're all here right now, could I get some feedback on that idea of a specific sign on that trail in particular that asks people to walk their bikes in the sensitive areas?
What do you think, John, since you might have a sensitive area on your property?
Most of that wet area is all on your land, John.
Right, and certainly true with Baptist Hill and Cross Road, have pretty much wet areas all year round, right?
Right.
I don't know about Falls Hill.
I think Falls Hill is pretty good.
It's pretty dry.
That's
Yeah.
fairly dry.
Okay. And so I think you could, tee up the signs, George, but I think we should first make a policy or an ordinance before they really go up. And I think, because there's still some issues like, are these trails open to horses and bikes, for example? Because I know there's been tension between, or certain people like Denny Emerson, with private trails don't necessarily want both of those modes of transportation on the same trails. So that's just something for the select board to figure out.
Right. Well, you guys have heard all the arguments, so I'll resist the temptation to make them again.
Yeah.
So John, since you do have the wetter areas, would you be, or your family, you, your mom, whoever, be against walking your bicycle if it was deemed a sensitive area?
Right. I don't think they'd be against that. No. I mean, I think we should maybe get some guidance from, I don't know who, BLCT or DEC or somebody about those sort of low impact fixes, like George is talking about, like planks, things like that, or good signage that, that in a 3-rod trail, sort of points people towards drier byways. So I think, most of this we could probably do with a certain amount of signage and work it into the policy as far as, seasonality goes. Or, check the Tunbridge website, or this may change, the select board might pivot and react to various weather conditions or landowner conditions, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can do that with a policy. I mean, we can change it weekly if we wanted to.
Right,
exactly. A question I have, George, is I think of like, if we're going to allow bicycles, I think of small groups, way better than 400. What do you consider to be, since you're a bicyclist, what do you consider a small group to be?
Yeah, let's
Or is
say,
that a fair question?
right, that's a tough question. I haven't given it much thought, but I would think, 10 or 12 max and you'll probably never see that, but
Right.
I think more importantly, specific language about not organized.
Yes,
And the language, I guess Paul Gillies would be,
right,
he'd have some good language for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I could, if I got together with all of my bike friends in this area and rode, you know, the maximum group would ever be 6,
Yeah.
you know? So really, I think 10 or under, maybe.
yeah. I just think that if you have a sign, it's gonna keep the honest people honest. Yeah, and if there's a group of 11 come along and say only 10 can go, I mean, what do you do? Does one guy have to turn back, or do you just be careful?
Right.
And especially like it's kind of dry right now, so it probably wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
But if it had been raining for a week,
Yeah.
6 bicycles might be too many.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if they rode through the wet areas up, you know, above John's house.
Yeah.
Those could be really impacted by that kind of traffic. I've seen other signs that say, you know, if you can see if your tire track sinks in more than a half an inch, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be riding and
Right.
stuff like that. But I think in general, you know, there may be weird cases like that where there's 11 or 10.
Yeah.
And there may be people who just ignore any signs that go up. But I think in general, if the information is printed on the trail, that, you know, the bike people in the area and people who come and look and don't even know it are going to get the idea, and you're going to like eliminate 99%
I
of the
believe it, yeah.
confusion over what's going on.
Yeah.
And some stuff will definitely always happen no matter where you are. There'll always be somebody disregarding any, you know, politeness, and so there's always a potential for that. But I think the signage will weed out 99% of it.
I think.
And
so,
also,
too.
just as part of that, I think that the question of e-bikes has been brought up, and I would say basically that an e-bike is a bike with a motor, and
Yeah.
that makes it a motorized vehicle, and that would not fall under that purview.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
That was my opinion until I talked to a guy the other day, who had gotten older, and he quit riding bikes on back roads because that's where he likes to ride.
Yeah.
And he tried out an e-bike and he loved it because, you know, he can ride, but if he needed some help getting up a hill, he had it.
Yeah,
And so it kind of put him back into biking again.
where he might have been stuck on his couch otherwise.
Right, right.
Yeah, and I
And
gotta say, I'm all for
So that was a complete, you know, I never thought of it that way. I think, you know, you get a bike with a motor on it, then I'm gonna end up like Mariah, speeding up and down the road.
Yeah, wicked fast.
that.
And, but when he said that, I said, geez, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
You know, you just get a little help going up the hill.
Yeah.
So,
But there again, I think the signage, just put on it, be careful. It's a sensitive area, don't run it all up or whatever. So if someone has an e-bike and they want to sneak through,
Yeah,
the world isn't gonna come to an end.
nope, and nobody will even really notice it.
Right.
And
Cause an e-bike's not gonna have different tires, right?
I mean, yours has.
no,
Well,
flat
same
I
tires.
have flat
tires,
tires.
they're no more damaging, but
And it's not any heavier, is it? I mean, just the weight of the battery. Or what?
yeah, it's a little bit heavier, but the battery more than compensates for all that.
But then you take Mariah versus somebody who weighs 300 pounds riding an e-bike.
Right,
There you go.
And I mean, it's certainly like no means like a dirt bike when people try, you know. No, yeah, I mean, I still have to pedal to go up a hill.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just has a little bit of assistance, so I'm not like
Yeah.
on the side of the trail dying.
Yeah, I mean, I think they fall under motorized, but I wasn't trying to imply that I'm not for it personally. I just know that some people are really worried about that.
Yeah.
But I think the trail governs your speed,
Yeah.
not necessarily the bicycle. And that the amount of people that can access those areas on an e-bike. I went on vacation with my wife and her back was injured and she couldn't ride. We rented her an e-bike
Yeah.
and we rode together,
Nice.
you know, so I guess it's a more overarching question of whether or not bicycles are welcome or not on the trails. And if they're not really welcome, then an e-bike probably isn't going to make that any better.
right.
So I'm taking up too much of your time again.
That's okay. We got time to burn now.
Yeah.
Wow. How about those Red Sox?
Yeah, well, we could talk about that for
But anyways,
half a
just
second.
to circle back, it seems like I'm not hearing a lot of clarity on what, on whether the signage thing is okay.
Well, I think we think the signage thing is okay, but we gotta make a decision on what we're gonna do before you start putting signs up. And like Gary said, we said just walking until Memorial Day. So that gives us a little time to get our act together, but I think I'd rather you didn't do anything until you got word from us.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we gotta get it done by next
But
meeting.
we gotta
though.
get it done, yeah,
And John's gonna write up a potential policy.
Yeah.
So we gotta figure out what John's policy is gonna say.
right,
Well, there's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah.
Copy and paste, plagiarism is not a evil thing to do in legislation, I believe. Okay,
All right, so you've got the okay to do some signs. We just gotta wait to see.
I
what
just
we
can't
want.
put them up.
right.
I got the okay to do nothing.
Put the paintbrush out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for taking the time and
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. for
Thank you,
calling.
George, for volunteering.
Yeah. This is stupid. What's this little map for?
Oh,
Can it go with
so,
something else?
yep, it goes with something else. We can, if you want, I'll just run through the stuff I was gonna bring up for other business.
Okay, do that until Mariah comes along, the other Mariah.
Okay,
Mariah,
so, yeah,
Mariah,
yes.
thinking back on some of this, did we ever run across just a kind of good nuts and bolts policy from another town that wasn't too complicated?
No, the
Remember,
only thing
we-
that I found was that ordinance that I had quickly kind
Yeah.
of copy pasted and drafted, and then it created this huge like, oh, it's an ordinance.
Right, I
and
remember, yeah.
So then, but that was the only thing that I found that had any sort of discussion on trail policy stuff.
Mm. So, for example, unless you ban them, like what do we, how do class 4 roads work at the moment?
What do you mean?
I'll give you my
As far
opinion.
as, motorized vehicles on class 4 roads, so
I don't think you
ATVs.
can, I don't think you can keep them on.
Well, Paul Gilly said that the legal trail is the same as a class 4.
Yeah.
Class 4, other than us shutting it down for mud season or something like that, anything's allowed.
Right.
So
Yeah.
technically, according to Paul Gillis, anything's allowed on a legal
But-
trail unless we say
But
no.
we can,
You kind of have more jurisdiction.
I
over
think
the
we got more
decision.
jurisdiction over trails, don't we,
Yes,
than a class 4 road?
but until you
Probably.
decide to say specifically,
Right.
Right,
then anything is welcome, kind of like what George
and
was
he
saying.
basically said that we were the top dog
Yeah,
on the roads. The way I took it was
Right.
that whatever we make for policy for legal trails that's it.
and if we don't have a policy, then it's.
Then it's the same as a class 4 road.
Right,
So does V-Trans then have certain, like, does V-Trans essentially have a policy on who can use class 4 roads that the town has to abide by?
I think the only thing is that we're supposed to keep the water off them more or less. And keep them open.
yeah. with
The way I understand, I mean, if a culvert collapses and we're supposed to put a culvert in, but we don't have to grade it, we don't have to do much of anything.
Right, for maintenance, but
Do
say,
not have to plow it in the winter.
what if we just put up signs like we have on the legal trails now that just said walkers only? Like, would residents who live on those roads have a leg to stand on to say, wait a minute, this is a class 4 road. We have a right to, X, Y, and Z of transportation. I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know unless it was
Um,
because of mud season or something like that.
Right,
The safety.
but also, I think I understand you, but if we said walking only, but somebody wanted to drive their tractor, if they were a landowner or
Right.
something, I'm sure they could still do it.
That's what Paul said, yeah.
You'd think so. But like I think Gary and I were talking about, wetlands, for example, like if legal trails run into potential problems by crossing wetlands, how does the Agency of Transportation or V-Trans and municipal towns get away with putting class 4 roads through wetlands that wouldn't be shut down, or you don't need that same kind of permitting that it sounds like we might need on legal trails to go through wetlands?
I'm not sure if we even need that, because from what Rudy said, when whoever it was he walked with on the crossroad, I recollect that it was okay to walk on the crossroad and probably okay to even muddy it up. But if you plan to
What?
actually do improvements
Right,
to make it not muddy, that's where the state
right.
gets
If you
involved.
start moving the brook
Right,
or putting in culverts or something, then that's when everybody gets wound up.
Right, but say the Fry Road goes through an entire wetland, does Tunbridge need a permit from DEC? I'm just talking about if we were really gonna follow the letter of the law to do improvements on Fry Road. I've never heard of that, but it's interesting. It just seems to cut against Paul Gilly saying, oh, they're essentially the same thing.
right. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I guess we could ask him.
And I
Or
think-
somebody
I
is
think like if we did something and if we made some improvement and nobody disagreed with us, they wouldn't call the state, we wouldn't get in trouble. But if somebody disagrees, even if we're doing the right thing, we're gonna probably get in trouble.
right. I don't know. Yeah, we should keep up a little running tab of questions for Paul Gillies. But I think we're on the right track. That let's get some place. I mean, I think at least to ban motorized vehicles on these trails, because they are delicate by
Yeah.
nature and wet and won't benefit by people, mudding them.
Right, and I think that we could give it a test run through the summer from Memorial Day weekend through,
Tunbridge Fair.
well, yeah, Tunbridge Fair, or even end of October. It starts to get wet then.
Yeah, like
But even-
Halloween.
yeah, the 1st of October, for instance.
Well, I don't want to ban snow machines.
No, but that's why how often do you ride your snow machine in October? Probably not quite so often.
Usually some.
Yeah, on
No.
crusty grass. But my point is, we could do an experiment and just see how it worked, and if George is right and there's not more than 10 or 12 bicyclists and they didn't do any damage, then we could assume that maybe that might work.
And that could be part of the policy for now, that
Right.
we'll revisit this, biannually.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you got something to go with, John?
Yeah,
All right, well, thank you. What else you have?
Well, so Kathy Galuza wanted to talk to us really quick just about rec doing burgers and dogs for town meeting.
Oh.
And
okay.
there she is, right there.
There she is.
I see
There
her.
she is.
Hello, Kathy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, there I am. So I was thinking, a couple of people mentioned to us this weekend that there is no lunch plan for town meeting day. They didn't have a way to do it.
Right.
So I was thinking we could take orders in the morning and do burgers, dogs, or tenders and do like a macaroni salad and a drink with it. Charge like $10.
Sounds good to me.
I don't know how, I don't know how to gauge how many people will participate, but we'll do our best. And if I overbuy burgers and dogs, we'll use them through the tournaments anyway. We can freeze them.
Yeah,
So I think I could just plan heavy, and then if we don't use it all up, then we'll just use it this summer.
so you would make them at the cook shack and then package them and bring them to the fairgrounds and lunchtime?
And we could take the orders as people check in.
Yep.
I was thinking it would be a good way to get people to stay. To do the school portion of the meeting.
So you're gonna make them eat after the school portion?
No, I was gonna do it in between.
What time's
Or
the
they could
school
eat-
meeting?
I have to go back and look, but I think 1 o'clock.
Okay, so that might work pretty well.
It's gonna be late.
Right, if we plan on having lunch there at noon. Then people could, eat as we finish up the meeting, burgers and dogs, that's kind of finger food anyway.
Yeah, right. Last year we had 100 people at town meeting. I don't know, hopefully, I'd like to see more.
Me too, so I was thinking plan on 200 to be safe.
Right. But not everybody's gonna want a hamburger or tenders or whatever. And some people are funny like that.
Right.
But anyway, I think it's a good idea. I don't know about John and Mike.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Mike says yes.
Nope. I think it's good, and then just publicize that it's the rec department doing it, Kathy.
Yeah,
Okay, we can do that. And can you guys please make sure you announce that the school board is gonna follow you so that people don't leave?
yeah.
Okay, last year, a lot of
And then-
people left, but hopefully they stay past this budget so we can all get past budgets. And the only other, we just did a tournament. It went pretty well. It was a 1-day. I'm gonna we have some shirts left over from that Green Up Day tournament, so I'll have them at the table so people can buy them if they want. And we'll probably start cow pie bingo there. So I'll be busy that day. So we'll set up a rec table, take the food orders, have the cow pie bingo and the shirts. If that works for you guys.
Okay, works for me.
Right, and also, we did do the money for the Little League, and we're working with them more. That hasn't all been ironed out yet, but just to let you guys know, we're working on that. The dirt is down on the field. Everybody's commenting that it looks great. Matt's working on fixing the pool shed. There was some rot on one of the, in the floor in one corner, so he's fixing that, but that's pretty much what we're up to.
Kathy, is it safe to say that, that we can ask them if it's okay to have the rec department, take over Little League? Or, I mean, are we in a position to ask that or not yet?
I think we need to hear from Scott and
Rebecca?
Yeah, Rebecca, but there's another person that has the account.
Ben? Someone
Ben,
named
yeah.
Ben, yeah.
Yeah, so just to make sure that they're okay
Yep.
with it.
Yep,
I did touch base with Becky and she thought we could make it work, but wasn't sure if there wasn't another way we could do it through Ben. But I haven't had a chance to connect with.
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay. But that's all good with you guys if that works out that way.
Yeah. Yep, I look forward to it.
What are you gonna get?
Cheeseburger.
And chicken
And-
wings?
I don't know, are you gonna make French fries, Kathy?
Yeah.
We can do,
you oughta.
you think we ought to do French fries? We can do
That's
French
right.
fries.
One order of fries, or maybe two.
2 orders of
Yeah.
fries.
Okay, 2 orders of fries coming up. We can do that for you. Do you guys have a moderator picked? Is it gonna be Gordon?
It's Izzy Provancha.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I don't know who that is. But Corbin offered to do the school one, so are you guys thoughts that Corbin Dixon from Chelsea? Should I go with him, or do you think this other person will want, I don't know this. The person. you
I don't
just-
know, I don't know if Izzy knew that he would have to do the school one, so if I were you, I would just have Corbin do it if he wanted to, because I think Izzy's just gonna do our town meeting.
Okay, perfect. I just didn't want to offend anybody by not asking.
No, I don't think he'll be offended.
Okay, perfect. All right. So that's all I have. If you guys don't have anything else. Oh, and the sound equipment will be brought down. The school will get that down there.
Awesome.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. See you Saturday. All right.
Thank
All right,
you,
thanks,
you.
Kathy.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
thank you. Before we delve into trim painting, we got any schedule on the parade? I've been asked.
That's not me, that's your parade czar.
Yeah, you'll have to talk to Tracy.
Okay, I didn't know if anybody knew.
Tracy will know.
Yeah,
I can't remember her number, 763 something.
Gary's got it written down somewhere,
I do.
real close by his barn phone.
okay,
I can call you with that number in the morning.
okay.
My turn?
What do you have for us?
So now that we have the nice pretty fence, the trim is very clearly meeting, like it's like even more obvious than before. And I was just kind of wanting to, I don't know how that works, but I know that's like your guys' area. So
We
I don't know if I
we
could,
don't paint,
you're not gonna do it?
no.
Come on. But anyways, I don't know if I, like how that would work, so.
Yeah, would I call somebody to get
Um,
a bid for painting, or do we have a maintenance person that does it, or
no,
obviously not, but,
we have to get someone, I have to get a quote on it,
okay,
and I'm okay with you doing it.
okay.
But I think commonly probably the library,
Yeah.
because it's a library building,
I'm happy to do it. I just didn't, I mean, since you were paying for it, I figured I'd come to you.
well, let's have this Mariah do it.
Okay, all right.
And it's just a trim on the old brick part of the building, the rest of it's fine, or,
The windows on the whole building, but the trim looks fine. Does that make sense?
no,
Like the,
oh, on the outside of the windows, you mean?
yeah, just the windows.
Like the sashes.
But just on the brick part, or all of the buildings in the whole, each section, the new section?
I think that just the brick building is the one that's like desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like real bad, but the rest of it's like, you could, but it's not that big of a deal.
Aren't we responsible for the outside of the building or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have any idea what condition the windows are in?
Yeah, there's definite need for assessment on the windows in general, and there was talk at our last trustee meeting of talking about that with you guys because of energy, like we just did the energy audit and how it could be a good time to replace the windows. Upstairs in particular, I mean, you can see it, but there's like big cracks in them, and then the storm window situation, like some of them I can't even get out. They're old, they're the old windows where you have like the little pins, you
Yeah.
know, and and I'm not a window person, but I think that somebody might want to look at them and see if it would be smart to replace some of them, but that's not priority. The trim was definitely painting that was definitely important, but the replacing the windows could be a good idea too.
So if we painted the trim and then replaced the windows, would we be taking out
Yeah,
freshly painted trim?
wow. That's a good question, Gary. Is there like, should I get someone to come and look at the windows first and then tell us, you know, how that goes?
When your energy audit was done, did they say, oh man, you gotta change your windows, or did they?
Yeah, they did suggest updating the windows
Yeah.
definitely in the energy audit, so, but I don't know.
All of them or just some of
Just some
them?
of them. I think just in the old part of the building.
Yeah.
The new part should be good to go. Those are
That should-
better, much better
Thank
windows,
you.
but the old part and the upstairs,
Do you have any idea how many windows were in the old part?
hold on.
This is a test.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be happy to call someone that maybe that they would recommend for that, and then talk to them about how the painting goes down. We would wanna do one
Right.
first and then have that all be, yeah.
Well, why don't we do that first
Okay.
then?
All right, so I'll call you when that happens or whatever. and see how that goes. Okay.
Call your window people.
And that's just part one, so that's easy, I can make that happen, no problem. But then the other piece was the community board. I know that there's people who definitely want to have their input in that too, so I don't know how that would work, but if Michael Saka especially is really interested in that, he's calling it like a kiosk, and I think he's got like big ideas for it, but as far as just like putting a community board up, lots of people in town want that back up, and having it on the library side would be great, I think. The exact location, I don't know, and I didn't you build the last one?
Yeah, but I think we ought to start all over again.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Because that whole thing needs to be taken away and burned.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Serve its purpose. And if it's a kiosk, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Man, that just sounds complicated.
Exactly, but when I Googled kiosk bulletin board, it again looked just like what you built. So I was like, maybe he's just using a fancy word for it, but like, is there, there's like definitely electronic like kiosks, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
Something just simple would be good, but I don't know, like, the protocol for that either, so.
Is Michael like wanting to spearhead this campaign for a new kiosk?
I don't know if he just wants to have his input, or if he said he was gonna join.
Haven't seen him yet.
But I mean, I would be happy to put an ad out and see if anyone's interested in building a simple one, unless he has more of an idea, but that would also would that fall under town money, or is that a library thing? What would that be?
Well, since it's outside, I mean, it's all the same, comes from the same pocket, so I think it ought to be town.
Okay, that feels
That's
good.
my opinion, but Mike
Okay.
and John.
Okay,
And Michael and I built that one out of just scraps that we had around, so,
Yeah.
and it literally cost us nothing to build.
well, I probably have a hard time finding someone who will do it for nothing,
Yeah.
but I could try, but
But my
probably
point-
easier to pay someone.
Yeah, Tommy.
But I guess keep it simple,
Yep,
and maybe it would only cost a few hundred
oh, yeah,
to do
definitely,
volunteer labor.
definitely. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, as I talked to Evan, I never know if it's Reese or Rice, but he just built the sandbox and the toy kitchen that's outside the library, did a great job. And I talked to him about building it because I think like whoever does build it, like, it'd be good for their business, that's something that everybody would see. So
Put a little plaque on
yeah, put a little plaque on it, yeah. So, but yeah, I could get that ball rolling as long as you guys are good with that.
Yep.
Okay,
You're gonna reach
Did-
back out to
did-
Evan.
yeah.
Did the first one you built, Gary, bring in a lot of business to you?
it. I haven't been contacted yet.
You didn't get to start your own?
Well,
Nobody
after-
thinks of you as a carpenter.
No, after 15 years, it fell over.
That's not bad.
I guarantee him for 14 years. so.
Yeah.
But I think on the windows, Mariah, if you could find, someone who's relatively neutral, not trying to sell us some windows, just to
Yeah.
look at them and say like, oh boy, these 4 have to go. These ones, I think we can get another 10 years out of if we paint them and do some putty work. I think that would be the way to go.
Oh, and Todd is signing in and he was in on the energy audit. We should harass him as soon as he gets on.
There he is.
Connects to audio. Because he would know more about what they said about the windows, since he and Teresa were in charge of that. Todd, can we ask you a question right away? This is Mariah.
What, you just noticed that I connected?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm home from the blues train. What's up?
You were in on the energy audit at the library, right, with Teresa?
Yeah, we did a walkthrough with the guy from Efficiency Vermont. He was on the phone and we just kind of
Yeah.
pointed out. Yep.
So what did he say about the windows? Did he say that the ones in the old building should be replaced?
We didn't, I don't recall talking that much about the windows. There might have been some talk about inserts, but I don't recall him saying that was a high priority. No.
Okay, okay, cool. Well, I'll look back through that, but we were just talking about whether we should paint the outside of the windows, but what if we need to replace the windows in general? So maybe we should hold off. But thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So do you know, you must know a carpenter or somebody that could
I can ask some, I can get some
ask around.
quotes and ask around. Yeah, definitely. Get some ideas out there, see if anyone has any good ideas for the
Yeah.
design or whatever.
But I think definitely we'll end up painting in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Cause yeah. it
Get it done
looks-
this summer.
Looks rough, yeah. And then is the mower guy, is it Eli again?
We
Oh, is
have-
Andy? Is Andy gonna mow?
No, Andy does the wintertime stuff.
Just as winter times. And Eli does the summertime?
Yeah, should we?
Yes, we should.
The
actually-
grass is ready. It's ready to
Yeah.
be mowed.
Okay.
See, here we are behind the eight
Here
ball
we
again.
are behind the 8 ball again.
Should we put out mowing bids? Do we have to do that every year?
Yeah,
I don't think we have to, but
well, depending on how we handle it, we can put a bid out for 3 years if we want to.
But I'm saying, like, when we hired Eli last year, was it just on a yearly thing?
Yeah.
Like, should I put, like, am I supposed to
Right.
put a bid out
Can-
in the Herald and things like that this
Can you
year?
look back?
do you remember, John? It seems like we've had this discussion before where we technically don't have to put it out to bid, we just can hire somebody. But I could be wrong.
I think maybe if it's a continuation, we can do that. But, I mean, it would make more sense probably to put it out to bid.
That's what Brock says too.
I think I'll get the. I'm gonna see if I can find the notes, see if we hired him for 3 years and we.
Okay.
can't remember.
But if nothing else, we could get Eli to at least.
Mow it right now.
Mow it right now and then.
Yeah, that'd be
Just pay
great.
him by the hour or however he wants to do it.
Yeah, that'd be good because it's definitely getting tall. And I know it's gonna be, I did talk to him last year about it and saying, you know, we're gonna have the fence and there's gonna be things, it's gonna be a harder job. But he was fine with it. And we
Yeah.
made sure that the arbor was big enough so his mower could fit in.
Oh,
so-
good.
And then the back opens up with a big gate, so
Yeah.
it's easy enough. so.
Yeah.
Cool,
Anyway, we'll get it done.
excellent.
What's your hat say?
Oh my God, so my brother, it says Ohana. My brother sponsored the T-ball team. This is his boat.
Oh,
He's got a charter boat.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wondered why it had a hook on it.
Well,
Couldn't-
this hook, he also sells shoes, and this is the shoe, the shoe company, like he just used the hats that he already had and embroidered the thing on it.
so it's like the Nike Swish, only it's the hook.
Yeah, exactly, it's the hook.
Yeah.
It's really funny, but it's actually like, if you buy these hats, it's like, they're like really expensive, so it's so funny that all the T-ballers are like wearing these
Yeah,
really nice hats.
yeah. And we're so close to the ocean too, it makes sense.
Oh, I know, I'm like, you're gonna get so much business from sponsoring this
Yeah.
team. But he was so happy to do it.
Good.
And it means family. Ohana means family.
Oh,
So it's kind of cute.
in what language?
Hawaiian.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sounded it, yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Since you're part Hawaiian, it makes sense.
I mean, obviously,
Oh, man,
whoa.
this ain't gonna be pretty.
That's the Eli book?
Yeah, this is just all about you. No, they're in chronological order.
Wow.
What's farm all fixed mean in Hawaiian?
Wow.
You could sponsor a rival team, Mike.
I could.
It would be fun. I mean, it's nice to be able to let everybody keep their shirts too, and not have to give them back.
Yeah,
They're excited.
Or
about
or perhaps your brother would like his hook on a race car, number 29 at Thunder Road.
it. Just
There you
saying.
go.
Oh, he would love that. Are you kidding me?
well, what's his number? I'll call him.
No,
right
you
now.
should definitely call him. Yeah, he would love
Need the money,
that.
otherwise I might not race.
Oh, really? Are you needing a sponsor for real? Is that what you're doing? Oh, you should call my brother. I mean, he would be so pumped to have his boat name on a race car. The charter business is good.
Is it?
Yeah,
Huh,
people like when he takes them out fishing a lot.
especially when you have a Hawaiian name.
Yeah.
While you're here, when I had done the warning for town meeting.
Yeah.
Apparently I missed a trustee or two for who's up for
Right.
term. Is that something at the beginning of the meeting, Izzy can just make amendments to,
Yeah,
I
I
think
would
so.
think so.
I
okay,
mean, that's why I do it. but
that's,
I'm
what
not
yeah,
sure.
that's what
Because we
I
have
told
two up. yeah.
Mariah. I said we can just, he
Right.
can say at the beginning, we need, you know, to
Right.
amend and the town can
Right.
say, okay.
Do you want me to tell him to do that, or will you tell him to do that?
Well,
don't
we can
mind.
talk about it at, if you come to the pre-town meeting, which is next Tuesday on
Okay.
Zoom.
I will try.
Okay, if not, I mean, I'll bring it up.
Okay, I will try so much. Yep.
So much, I'll try so
So
much.
many baseball teams. This is like crazy. I forgot to come here. My dad reminded me. He said, "Don't you have a meeting?" I was like, "Yes."
I don't see anything so far. May 25th. Oh,
Yep.
Eli Childs offered the only bid. Mike moved to hire Eli John second, so moved. So we only had, it just said for the summer lawn mowing of town properties, but he was the
Okay.
only one who put in a bid and
Yeah.
we put it in the paper and all of that. And that was May 25th, so we were late last
Oh,
year too.
As usual.
Good.
So do you want me to just contact him and see if he's interested again?
Yeah, and see if he bid, because obviously with the new fence and all, he might want to bid more because it's
Okay.
more labor involved.
Mhm. Yeah, we should go check it out, walk around the back.
And then do you want me to have him mow before Memorial Day regardless and then
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
put it
yeah.
out in the Herald
Yeah.
and see if other people want to bid as well, or just hire him?
What do you think, John?
I think that sounds like a good plan, Mariah, to have him do it, and then when we get bids, I mean, he can put his bid in or adapt it because he would have done some more mowing by that point.
Okay,
And
But
probably,
if we can get him just on a temp basis until we get to a point of picking.
okay,
and do you remember, Mariah, how often he mowed, like once a week?
yeah,
So we ought to hire him with the intention of mowing once a week until we decide on who gets the actual bid.
yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
And also the town office and
Yeah.
whatever he normally would do the whole thing. I mean, probably needs to coordinate with you too to mow when you don't have 29 kids there.
Oh, yeah, but that's only through this month.
Yeah.
And then, but there'll still be other reasons that there's 29 kids there, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should definitely talk.
Yeah.
I don't have his info, but
I hardly do, but
I usually just run out there when I see him.
Yeah.
If I need to tell him something. Basically just not Wednesday afternoons, I would say
Okay.
that's for him,
not Wednesday.
yeah. And the library's closed on Monday, so that could be a good day to do it.
Okay.
But not Wednesdays is ideal.
Okay.
All right, guys,
Thank you. Keep in touch.
I will. Go and eat some ribs,
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
yeah. Oh, sorry, for you guys.
See you later.
Yeah,
See ya.
thank you.
You're welcome. Matt Frost, I see you have your hand up.
No, he doesn't.
Is that
That's
a-
my cursor.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a little hand. Oh, this is something.
So I'll tell you about that map if you want to know about it now.
Oh, this map?
Yeah.
Does John have a map?
No.
Anyway, tell us.
So there's a map, John, I can forward it to you. I got a call the other day from a man named Aaron Anderson. He is part of the camp of the Latter-day Saints, the Joseph Smith stuff. And they are doing like a summer camp. There's gonna be about 150 people. And he was just kind of calling to let me be aware and know that this is their options. They're gonna hike with 60 kids and 25 adults, and they're gonna stay there. It's like a half a mile each day or something like that, or 2 miles or something, that they're gonna walk, and then they're staying at people's houses along the way until they get back to Joseph Smith. And they said that, it's like they're gonna be very quiet and respectful, like kids aren't gonna have CD players, like they're gonna be talking about Bible study and things like that.
Yeah.
But they just
They're doing a
wanted.
loop?
They're not doing a loop, they're starting at Orchard Road. and then they're they're walking all the way to Joseph Smith. So they were thinking. So I did tell them that we had legal trail stuff going on. So I would run it by you, because one of the options is to start at Orchard Road and then take the walking path to Moody Road, which is that a legal trail that he's,
That is,
yeah, so I said, I don't know if 150 people are gonna be allowed to walk on this trail.
but it's July 20th too, so.
Right, I wanted to
Yeah.
double check with you before I said full steam ahead, but
Right by Land Goes Farm.
Right by
Yeah.
Land Goes Farm,
You can make some money there selling some Mormon trinkets and stuff.
right? Yeah,
and then they'll
lemonade.
do Morrill Road to Hoyt Hill Road to Taylor Road to Kipling to Potash, and then they'll go Potash to Derry to Camp Joseph. So that one was 3 days. Or their second option is Morrill Road to Hoyt Hill to Taylor Road to Kipling to Potash, and then Potash to Derry Hill, and then 2 days at Joseph Smith. So one was a day longer than the other, but it started at Orchard Road and then took that legal trail past your house. So I didn't know if we wanted to, if that was fine, if it wasn't fine. I said I would talk to you guys and get back to him about that because of the legal trail issue. Because obviously we can't stop them if they're walking down the road. Like we can't say,
Right.
you're not allowed to walk on the road.
Yep.
So they're gonna have medical staff. They're gonna call EMS and let them be aware that
Yep.
they're gonna be out. They're gonna bring, I don't know if they're gonna have porta potties dropped off. What he said, they were gonna have their own facilities. People aren't gonna be like peeing in the woods or something. I don't know. They were
What-
right on top of it.
What dates, Mariah?
July 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
What days of the week are those?
She's looking it up.
It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay. Well, I guess we could revisit it after we get the policy done.
Okay.
Hey, Todd, you have your hand up. Would you like to speak?
Yes, Gary. Just not really a cautionary note, but I'm thinking back to all the discussion in the fall, and I did catch a little bit earlier this meeting about going through the summer with the legal trails being open to non-motorized use. But I believe the Planning Commission and the Trails Committee, and maybe it wasn't accepted by the select board, said no major events, a lot of participants on the legal trails. And now I go back and you know, 150 people.
It's true.
Mhm.
Oops, that was been cut off. What, if you can hear us, Todd, I think you have a good point that, I mean, a large event is a large event. So
Yeah,
maybe-
am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, sorry, typical Tunbridge connectivity. Yeah, so I'm not saying no, I just would want you to be aware of what that discussion was last fall about events and what defines an event. Regardless, and I do remember that it was, you know, as far as whether it was walking or horses or bikes or anything, that a whole lot of people in an organized event was maybe not a good idea, but just throwing it out there.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, and I'm glad people like you pick up on that stuff. Let us know.
So I will still just pause on this, and when we have more policy and stuff set in place, I can reach out to him and say
Well,
either
I think
yes or no.
Todd's right. I think if they're gonna have 150 people,
Right,
they're gonna have to stay off the
Right,
legal trail.
and
yeah,
if they start at Morrill Road, they're only shortening their little trip up by
Right,
2 miles or whatever it is.
right. So I think you better tell them just to go with option 2.
okay.
That okay with you, John?
Yeah, either way, I think, you know, it makes sense what Mike's saying, that if they're good either way, right, let's have them start planning for, you know, Morrill to Dairy Hill instead of the extension through Orchard Trail.
Okay.
Thank you for that explanation.
My next thing was Becky wanted me to run it by you. Jola wants to come back for like 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week as assistant treasurer. And so Becky knows that she can obviously appoint people, but before she does and puts another person on the payroll, she just wanted to make sure that was something that was fine with you all.
Is that okay with you?
So we're
Yeah.
taking you off the payroll.
I
right?
didn't get paid. Yeah, that's fine.
Do we have money on for an assistant treasurer?
There's budget stuff here.
Look it up yourself.
More than likely.
Assistant treasurer wage, 32.80. So we got.
Is this something that Becky wants or recommends?
Yeah, Becky would like it just to have somebody to do billing and things like that. I helped her for a little bit, but then when I was out, when I had COVID, and when I came back in, I never picked it back up. So if she could have somebody do that, and she said dump tickets and like a few other things that Jola did prior when she was here. She said it would just, she knows how to do it already. She would come in and do it. It'd be quick.
I think if she wants Jola, she ought to have Jola.
Yeah, okay with me.
We make a motion?
Well, I don't think we have to. Just because
Yeah.
it's Becky's purview, not ours.
Right. Yeah.
And we got the money for it. So.
Yeah. I mean, we could just mention it in the minutes.
Yeah, yep, I'll put it in the minutes. My next question, or not question, but statement, pre-town meeting is next Tuesday. Don't
Next
forget.
Tuesday,
Yeah,
At 7 o'clock.
let me check my,
where?
it's online on Zoom.
Want the good news or the bad news?
Yes,
There's no
It's
14,
at 6.
28 available right now.
that's a man thing.
It's at 6.
6,
Yeah,
What?
6.
6,
6
yeah.
here?
Well,
I don't, it's just posted as on Zoom, so
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has to come here. I think we're just all gonna get on Zoom like we did last time.
Are we gonna have our town reports by then?
I don't know, that was the other thing,
Ew.
is that the town reports are not even finished printing, so.
Really?
Yeah, because I think there was like a little miscommunication, and Nissa thought she sent the PDF was never received, and Nissa finally followed up a little bit later. Spalding had never gotten it, so
Oh my
now
God.
Spalding's printing them as we speak, hopefully will be done tomorrow or the next day. And then they have to do the mail merge, so they hope to have it out by the end of the week, so,
Isn't there some sort of legislative?
yeah, it's
thing?
supposed to be within 10 days,
Yeah.
like, so we're gonna miss that.
Yeah.
Because I think Thursday would be 10 days.
Hmm. Anyway, I don't, we budgeted so long ago, I don't remember anything about it, so I need the town report. to
Right.
refresh my memory.
I can get you a PDF of the town report if we don't have them in hand, but I could also, once we get them in this office, I
Yeah.
can hand it to you.
Right,
Um,
and I'm sure people want
you're
them.
gonna-
no, I
hand one to
know,
me?
people want them. I'll drive it to your house, yeah.
Yeah, right.
She rode an e-bike over.
That's right. I was thinking pre-town meeting was Thursday for some reason. I have it written on my calendar as like 2 days from now, Thursday.
Oh,
And I was like very stressed about it,
Yeah.
thinking, but no, it's next Tuesday, so
Next Tuesday. Maybe you better shoot me an email or something.
I will.
to remind you.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a certain amount of days before?
It's within 10 days before, so
Oh,
we could
okay.
do it like the night before if we wanted to,
Oh,
but
interesting. Yeah, I never knew that. We could have
and then
two.
I'll have Izzy come on the pre-town meeting.
Yeah. So
I
you-
know that on the warning, we didn't have a article about the town nurse, because that was just in the budget. So I think while we're discussing the budget, you guys
Yeah.
will have to just say, we budgeted for a town nurse.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to come over here, Mike, and you and I sit here together, or do you want to Zoom from home?
That'd be fun. Yeah, I'll come over.
So anyway, if we do that, then we'll
I'll
have to
bring-
have you set this thing up.
That's fine.
It'll be interesting to see. Usually there's 25 people show up, to see if by Zooming, more people show up.
Mhm. We had a lot last year, I thought, when we did it.
When Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot because they
Yeah.
were on Zoom, and I'll post a reminder in the Facebook page and on the website and things like that.
As long as my hired help can do my chores. That, I'll be Zooming from the barn otherwise.
Ooh, have you got any hired help?
Mike. Well, Andy too, but Andy doesn't know.
And then my last two things. Brenda wanted me to let you know they're hiring somebody to come in and do the full energy audit. The people that we had previously thought were gonna come fell through.
Oh,
So she's hired somebody out of. I can tell you if you want. Arrowwood Consulting, nope, wrong one, not gone to there. Anyways, doesn't matter, a guy's coming and it's $150 an hour. I said,
Ooh.
you guys had said, you know, you were aware that it was gonna cost like 1,000 or something to
oh,
do that.
10 minutes.
Right, could take 10 minutes, we don't know.
But they're
So,
gonna do both buildings, no?
yes, they're gonna do both buildings.
Mm.
It's $150 an hour. Brenda just wanted me to let you know.
Yeah.
That was what she had gotten May 23rd, they're
Yeah.
coming.
May 23rd, okay.
And then,
They didn't offer that course at BTC when I went there.
We didn't know about it back then.
Oh,
We didn't care.
well,
they didn't care.
I could be an energy auditor for 150 an hour.
You still could be.
The very last thing is animal control officer and constable. Bruce Jones, I don't think had wanted to be a constable, like when we rehired him last year. And so never answers my phone calls or returns my call. Catherine Adams obviously moved. I just stumbled upon today, because I figure something out every day, that within 10 days of a vacancy of a position, I'm supposed to have posted in 3 public
Oh,
places and
right.
all these
Right.
things that we have a vacancy because of this reason. And under these specific statutes that, you know, you're going to appoint somebody until the next election.
Right.
Well, at this point, I feel like it's been so long anyways, and we have town meeting next
Right.
Saturday. I'm just gonna not take the time to post that, because
Right.
the next thing you could do was appoint somebody, but it was gonna be after town meeting anyways
Right.
for your next select board meeting, so. But I think we should try to drum up some interest
Somebody.
in the constable position, at least one. And if we could find somebody for animal control officer, because, you know, we've talked about the situation on Monarch, and I just have gotten the runaround from Orange County, state police, like, we don't have an animal control officer to look into it. We don't have, you know, so nobody, everybody's hands are tied and they're saying, oh, it's this person, it's this person.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting any answers. So I just think it would be good if we had one of those.
But a real animal control officer, if they do their job, they need some training.
Right.
So it isn't just like we can appoint someone.
Right. Well, we could appoint them
Yeah,
And then
if-
train
If
them,
they agreed. to
if they
take-
wanted to.
Right. So like Devin would jump on that.
Oh, yeah, God, he's got nothing else going on.
Catherine Adams mentioned, and maybe somebody out there, or is that all the guests we have?
That's all we got.
Oh, man. There was a guy who lived up on Squeaky Tree who was an ex-police officer, Mary White Road.
Oh, God.
And he was retired, and what struck me was, being a retired police officer, he might actually know enough about the law,
Yeah,
so he would make a good constable, but whether, and I don't even know the guy's name.
Yeah,
I might take a gander up there someday. See, but that's what I'd like for an animal control officer, someone,
Mhm.
nothing against women,
could-
but a man.
yeah.
We could just appoint the guy who lives on squeaky trees.
Yeah, exactly, like we did with,
Bruce Jones.
yeah, Bruce
Yeah.
Jones.
So we have no constable at the moment?
No, and no animal control officer. And so Gary over here has been our constable been driving up, talking to people about their dogs off their property.
No constable.
Are you gonna, can I put you up for reelection and have Mike second, and then you'll be on the select board again? You're done.
I want to be.
Yeah. You're done too?
Yeah.
Oh, stop.
Just be gone.
I'm done too then.
I don't know.
I'm gonna run for constable.
You should.
All right. Well, twice there.
Second constable.
If I didn't run for select board again, it would simplify my life.
It'd be boring. You'd have a
Yeah, but why
boring
do you
life.
want a simple life?
Then you wouldn't come in here and have some
I'm a
crackers.
simple person. I know, I gotta talk to Mike and make sure he can still do chores for me for sure. And
No.
Lori rolls her eyes every time I think about running for election again.
We could make Lori something too.
Yeah,
She
make
doesn't
her
work well
a
with-
constable.
She doesn't work well with other people. She likes to give orders, but she doesn't like to take them.
Well, constable then.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true, I suppose. No, we'd have trouble there.
You give her a ticket book, she could write people tickets.
She'd be hard. And I can say that because I know she's not listening. All the other business you
That's
have?
all I've got.
Does anyone else have any other business? How about you, John?
There was something, but I forgot now. I know, I mean, the big thing is legal trails, but. In
Are you
town
having a-
meeting, I guess.
Are you having a lunar eclipse? Looks like all of a sudden you're dark.
I know, the light, well, I turned the light off and
Oh.
funny, the sun goes down, it gets dark. Lunar eclipse. Yes, East Tunbridge is in the middle of a lunar eclipse here.
So for next select board meeting, will you have a policy that you will be voting on for the trails from Memorial Day until October 1st?
That's what I'd like.
Okay. So I just want to know what I'm gonna put on the warning. or
Does
the
John know what
agenda.
he's gonna put on?
John, will you be able to have a draft policy by the 24th?
Right, that's the plan. I mean, and hopefully get it out to us beforehand, so
Okay,
we could even, have some suggestions.
okay.
But
I just want to know what I'm gonna put on the agenda and have that kind of ready for you
so
guys.
that's what I'd like to do. Just finally pull the trigger
Yeah.
and just nail it down. And if it's wrong, we'll just
I
redo
don't
it.
like your choice of,
Squeeze the trigger then. I know you're supposed to squeeze it.
yeah, but we're gonna get the trigger, aren't we? Or the,
We'll get something. No, but I think we
can
need
you
to do
eat
it.
cheese, little girl?
Sure can.
All right, well, John, we've only got orders to sign here.
And John, have you looked at any of the minutes yet?
No, I haven't, Mariah, but
Okay,
maybe the
Well,
next day.
that's okay. Hopefully I won't be here for the next meeting, but we'll
What's,
see.
where are the unapproved ones? Where do we start? Because I can go from there, right?
They're on the website. They would start after March 8th is the last one that's approved that I have.
Okay, so from there up forward.
Yeah, so the second March meeting and then forward.
Yeah, okay, I'll work on that. Oh, Mariah,
Mhm.
when are we gonna talk about your MOU?
We can right now if you want. I saw you had questions on it.
I didn't know if the others had seen it or weighed in or what.
You guys, I gave it to you last time, the memorandum of understanding between the select board if I was appointed versus
Oh,
elected.
yeah.
So
Oh.
John had read through it and just had some thoughts. And I'll pull it up and read to you what his thoughts were. So you were wondering about the tethering of the town clerk and the AA.
Tethering, I like that.
Yeah, I
Well-
didn't know if, I mean, I guess just to give both the select board and future town clerks who want to be administrative assistants, give both sides flexibility.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been doing some looking around at other towns and, when we had talked about hours and things like that, a couple weeks back, I had looked at like Chelsea's hours, South Royalton's hours, Stratford, Sharon, Berkshire, all of those town clerks' hours versus their salary and their responsibilities. And I'm the only town clerk in the area that is also the administrative assistant.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Wow, you should be on it.
well, I don't get paid anymore for it. There's actually, in the budget,
It's in
I
the,
don't get any
it's
of
in
it.
the, it's the honor.
It's
Yeah.
just the honor of it. But so anyways, I mean, for other people who would be appointed, I don't know if another town clerk is gonna be like
Right.
great with the fact that they do the administrative assistant position for free. So that is something to just think
Right.
about. And then as far as paid maternity leave, I don't get paid maternity leave. I had to, Becky and I subtracted out 2 months worth of my salary from the budget and then divided it by 12 so that I could get a check still while I was home. So that's why the budgeted amount for my salary this year is less than what it was last year, even after the COLA increase. So there's that question.
Shouldn't your town clerks pay not be decreased? I mean, you're still town clerk.
Yeah, but I was taking 8 weeks off.
Yeah.
So technically, you, in the state of Vermont, you don't have to pay maternity leave. It's just unpaid,
Huh.
which is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I just think for administrative assistant, you're an employee, but for
Right.
town clerk,
Yeah,
I mean, my opinion is you should get the pay when you're,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of what I had thought, but Becky told me that we couldn't do that, or
Huh.
she didn't think we should do that or something.
Yeah.
So she subtracted
Well,
out 2 months.
You could be town clerk and you could work 1 day a week.
Well, I know, yeah, I know.
Right.
So anyways,
well,
if
that's-
you look at the, go ahead, John.
No, I was just saying, I find it curious that the state of Vermont, doesn't have in statute that
Right,
for municipal employees,
that's
there should
very
be paid
curious.
family leave.
Oh,
Whether,
I agree, yeah. And well, so I had gone through our employee handbook that we have and the policy, and it just says that I'm allowed time off, but that, and you have to hold my position. That was the only thing, but I'm confused because it's an elected position, so you can't fire me anyways.
Right.
So I don't know.
sounds like a potential bill.
Yeah, I would like to. Then what was another question of yours? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is you're getting a bargain for having me. You're
We knew
increasing
that.
your budget for next year,
We knew
and I
that.
am your administrative assistant for $0. One administrative assistant in one of the other towns gets like $28,000.
Yikes.
Yeah, I said, well, geez,
What do they do though?
the same thing I do, the grant work and the select board stuff.
Mariah, is it in statute that a town clerk has to do a certain amount of hours?
No,
No,
It's not.
no, like Mike said, I could work 1 day a week. And if I felt that I was getting all of my workload covered and it was fine by the public, that that's what I could
Well, it
do.
doesn't make any difference.
Right,
If
even if
they
it's
didn't
not,
like it,
I mean,
then they wouldn't reelect. you.
right,
That's the check and balance there,
right.
the election. And then the other thing was, right, if we have I guess in the general fund, if there's a salary line for the town clerk, what, say we hired a new town clerk and negotiated a certain yearly salary starting on July 1st, what happens if the town voters say, oh, that's too much? Do we,
Yeah, then
That's,
that person,
yeah.
I mean,
Different
because
I was thinking
you're
we had
saying
a-
it's negotiated but with the
multi-year
select board by a
contract.
hired
Yeah,
person.
it is.
I mean,
That's true.
ultimately,
But it
they
is
would
with
have
these
to
guys.
approve your
Yes.
budget, so then it would be back to the drawing board, but,
Mhm.
yeah,
but no different than road foreperson or
right.
tenant, yeah.
And that's kind of what I mean, was my overarching theme, was just that, like, you can appoint me, you would be in charge. If I didn't come to work for 6 months, you could say, we have a policy that is about termination policy, and you could say, hey, here's the guidelines for you to terminate an employee, you meet with them, you have a meeting, you discuss the issue. And then if it's not rectified, then you could get rid of me. And then, but I still want to be able to set my hours and, decide if I want to take a week off at Christmas and things like that, that I'm still
Right.
able to do as an elected clerk. I don't, think that we should get rid of those abilities.
Right,
Yeah,
Just that you would have more control if I did get done, then you could hire somebody who has a background in business or,
right.
office work or things like that, and not,
that's something I hadn't thought about.
maybe Dick Barnaby wants to run, I don't
He
know.
might.
Yeah,
Be pretty
Well, this
stiff.
is the problem now, right, there's sort of positions that need experience, and you can't just have anybody run from town who has a notion,
right.
unlike
Uh,
select board.
what's that?
Unlike select board.
Right.
So do you think the same questions apply to the treasurer?
Yeah, so I sent it to Becky as well, and I told her she could fill it in and say treasurer and that type of thing, or if she had other
Yeah.
inklings she wanted to add in or whatever, so she's gonna have one as well, but I guess the first battle would be to get that motion approved at town meeting to have us both be
Okay.
appointed. And then, so on the wording, it says to elect, like, then the next thing is to elect a town clerk, but I guess we would just skip that. Cause I would have
Well,
been appointed,
if they decide
right,
to appoint,
right, and that's why I put it in, if they didn't decide to appoint, then they could elect
Right.
me down in the next. But maybe they won't want to, they'll be like, she's never there and she's not even here now, cause she's had a baby. We're not hiring her.
You need a cardboard cutout of you or something.
Waving.
Well, I think with the current select board, you and Becky won't have any trouble.
Mhm.
And we can definitely negotiate all these things
Yeah,
and make it work.
yeah. I know, that's what I was thinking too.
But
I'm
in
like,
the
oh, the
next
three
select
of you,
board,
yeah,
something.
but then if we have somebody who hates me, or whatever,
right.
thinks I do a terrible job, or doesn't like my hours, or whatever.
Right.
Then I wanted to have protection, or not even me, years down the road, somebody else who's a clerk,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I'm not giving up rights that we have as elected clerks by
Right.
becoming appointed, and then you can't really go back from there, type of thing.
There needs to be some stability so that it can't just be at someone's whim.
Right, right.
So I guess that's what we need to find then, that stability.
Oak Island's all over, in case you were gonna tune in tonight,
Oh, Jesus.
season finale last week.
Did they find all the stuff?
You know what? They didn't.
There's another one about some hidden gold or something like that. I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, I saw that one. You know what another good one is? That this one's on Animal Planet. It's not about history, but there's a biologist that goes around and he finds if things are extinct or alive. And he has
Oh.
found some animals that have been believed to be extinct for like 500,000 years.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, here it is.
We found the dodo.
Yeah, so it was cool. And if you like that type of stuff, you should watch it.
It might be okay. I heard why the dodo went extinct though.
What's
Because
that?
everybody thought that they were hunted into extinction, but it turns out it was rats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as soon as the white man came to whatever island that was, I forget now. They, of course, they introduced rats inadvertently, and then the rats just ate up all the eggs of the dodo, and then there you have it.
No more dodo.
Yep. I was very disappointed.
That was white man.
Those white guys.
So that's, what was the dodo's last word? Rats.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, same thing in New Zealand, they, I think they introduced rabbits. And then the farmers realized that the rabbits ate a lot of grass and put holes in the fields for the sheep. So then they're like, we got to get something to get rid of these rabbits. So they introduced stoats, like, you know, weasels, ermines kind of things.
Huh.
And they, instead of eating the rabbits, they ate all the flightless birds.
Oh, no.
The Kiwis were like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Killing machine. Are we done?
Mike and I are just signing the orders, but other than that, I think we'll
I can go do chores.
go ahead before it gets dark.
Yeah, before the eclipse is over.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your participation, John.
Take
Yeah.
care,
So
John.
next Tuesday. Oh, Mike, I gotta take a photo of that starter on the international and get
Oh.
yours. We can reorder that.
Okay,
But hopefully we're done with the legislature in the next 1, 2, or 3 days, I think. It looks good, so. And return to normal. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Bye.
see you, John.
Yeah, bye.
You got no guess.
Nope.
John was telling me when I talked to him on the phone that the chair of the ag committee is getting done. She's not running for election or whatever.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people getting done.
Yeah. Anyway, somebody brought in some Bar Hill gin and somebody brought in some other alcoholic beverage and they all toasted her and drank a little bit. And then right after that, they had a roll call vote. Rodney Graham is one of the guys on the ag committee. And he was standing out there during the roll call vote and they called for Mr. Graham and he just stood there and they called again. And he stood there and finally somebody jabbed him in the ribs and woke him up out of his drunken
Oh,
stupor.
no.
I don't know what he said. But it must have been funny.
Bar Hill gin is so good. I haven't had it forever, but
You don't drink it every night?
I wish, especially after the other night with the ambulance, I was like, get out of me so I can have a drink. Ugh,
You drink that non-alcoholic gin.
yeah. My sister's been getting like non-alcoholic, like sparkling wine that they sell at Chef's Market in Randolph.
Yeah,
It's really good, but it's not the real thing, you know?
it doesn't have the same zest, zing, whatever.
Doesn't make you feel happy.
You're right. I would Rodney's description here, going behind grader.
Hmm.
Do you want to, this is the recording, do you want to
Oh, you can
make
shut
a
it off.
motion to,
Michael make a motion.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Oh, that's
It's okay, you're vice chair, you can do that.